Hello everybody. I have not streamed in so long. How is everybody doing today? Um, so today we will be doing something a little different. We have not done this in a while actually. We're doing a tier list. I don't know if I've ever done one live on stream, but I usually do a couple in my free time, kind of talk through things. It's kind of a good way I find to kind of like I don't know, learn what's good, learn what's bad, and kind of talk yourself through it. Kind of like, I don't know. I feel like it's a good way to learn. So today we will be doing that. We'll be doing a Apex tier list on Apex guns. So let me just get this screen capture going, get the game capture filled. Hopefully this is good. This is Twitch. Real quick, I'm gonna turn this off. Or turn that off real quick, and then open up the dashboard. Okay. And then we will be turning that on. Okay, cool. I think we are good. Let me just change this to 30. Start goal. Cool. Okay. Super cool. Okay. So we are just going to be if you're new to the stream, we're going to what's up? What's up, Natalie? How you doing? Today we're just gonna be ranking some Apex guns, kind of just getting the whole vibe in. Wait, can I pop this out? Yeah, I can. Fuck me. Okay. Oh my god, can I not? Okay, we're gonna do it like this. We're gonna be scuffed. Don't leak DMs. Okay, we're gonna be scuffed for a minute. Okay, there we go. We're officially scuffed. Let's go. Okay, so we are going to be ranking some weapons in Apex. Let me just close this. Okay. So honestly, I'm just gonna get straight into this, but I think actually before I get into this, I'm going to first be looking through my last season's. I do usually like a seasonal Apex gun tier list. Usually just talk myself through it. This was mine last season. This is actually really hard to see the guns. I think that's Car and Flatline S tier, R3 Volt, 3030 Prowler, Havoc G7, PK, L Star, Longbow A tier, Eva Wingman, Spitfire, Charge Rifle B tier. C tier was Hemlock, Devo, Sentinel R9, and then I call this tier good off drop, but D otherwise, Mozam, Alternator, RE45, and then E tier was P20. I'm usually kind of lenient with my tier list. I'm not super rash with the decisions. I think I don't really think there's ever been that many F tier guns. Maybe like OG Mozam, but like postseason 8 Mozam I think has been at least E. I don't think there's ever been like other than that like a terrible gun. So keep that in mind. I'm gonna be ranking things a little bit more what's it called? Positively, optimistically, right? So yeah, just want to keep that in mind for everybody. So we're going to be starting with, I guess, the 3030. I think the 3030 is a super solid gun this season. Broken Moon's a pretty good map for long range with ranked and everything. Split 1 Skull Piercer has been kind of nice, though I think people thought it was going to be better. It's nice. It's definitely usable. It's for sure usable. I'm going to try to be a little bit more harsh than I usually am. I think it's a solid B tier weapon. It's a gun that you can run most games and be totally fine with. But again, it sucks close range. I don't know why I said again, but it does suck ass close range. It's pretty bad close range. So it's like kind of unusable in that department. So you especially with them removing shatter caps, kind of ass. But other than that, not too bad. By the way, if anybody in chat has any input over the course of the entire stream, I do have chat on this side. So feel free to step in, say hi, like Gucci Goosey did, and put any input. Call me an idiot, call me a fucking moron, as much as you want. I'm all down for it. Any input is super valued. So yeah, I just want to keep that open for everybody. Okay, alternator next. Oof, that's coming out of the care package. It's not that good. It's good off drop, for sure. I've beamed some people with it today, but like, it's not that good of a weapon. It's pretty bad. I think it's pretty bad just because it's outclassed in every dimension later in the game. Even an R9 is better than it. So it's like, no serious person should ever be like running this past the point that they can get any other gun, right? Like, it's like, I think Mozam is more understandable to run late game than this. But off drop, again, it's pretty fucking great. It's pretty great. I'm not gonna say that it sucks at all, because it's pretty great. Off drop, that is. Care package weapons, are we gonna do? I'll do last care package weapons because they're really weird and most of them are just S tier. So, okay, car, easily the best gun in the game still. I think I talked about last season how the barrel stabilizers getting removed is bad, because it only helps. I mean, it only hurts MNK players and doesn't really affect controller players at all, which is the problem with it at all, like in the first place. But looking at it, it doesn't really affect SMGs. You just have to get better with them. They're honestly so good. They control the meta right now, especially with Bangalore being good. Bangalore being fucking nasty, with Digis being everywhere. Car is a gun you can run with almost every other weapon. Like, it is a great secondary weapon, and I don't think you should ever be using it as a primary, but if you're using it with like a marksman weapon, it's pretty great. It's pretty fucking good. S tier. There's not much to say that isn't already like constantly said about it. It's the best gun in the game. Easily has been since it's introduced. It's insane. It's crazy, and it will always be insane until they nerf it. Which honestly, I don't even know if I want to see. I fucking love this gun. It's so fun to use. Who doesn't love the car? I'm sure there's some people, but like, bro, this gun is so much fun to use. Like, you can't tell me that this thing isn't just sick. I don't know, it's so fun to use. Getting like the better skins for it, marginally better. It isn't even dependent on it being good. Like, it's such a nice weapon. It's such a fun weapon to use. And it's obviously the best gun in the game, and will be until it's fucking either removed, put in care pack, or nerfed. Okay, charge rifle. Charge rifle's weird to rate because it's like the 30-30, but better long range, worse close range. It's less versatile, but it's a fucking amazing at what it does. Like, if you have a sniper, you shouldn't be running any other sniper over the charge rifle, realistically. And the fact that you can just get KP across map. Oh, by the way, this is probably going to be ranked mostly for ranked, right? Like, this is mostly for ranked competitive kind of vibe, not super pubs or arenas or Winter Express. Because at that point, it's like whatever you prefer using, you should use, right? Because everything can be utilized to a certain degree of success, but none of them are particularly, I don't know, stand out that much in pubs or in Winter Express, right? If you want to use something, you can use it, right? There's no other mediator. It's just what you want to do. Okay, so I think charge rifle is amazing far range. You can get a lot of KP off of it. You can build shields fast, but that's not even really the reason it's used. But it is very good at that. Great for sitting in zone. Playing zone, it's amazing. Even playing edge, you can kind of get some more range with it. But again, it sucks close range. It's terrible close range. It's really fucking bad. Like late game, it's one of the only guns that you need to swap out. Well, most marksmen's too, but you need to swap this out. It's so fucking bad late game. But honestly, because like the car is so good, I don't really think I realized before that if you just run like car charge rifle, you don't really have to care about not having a second weapon close range because the car is all you need, right? It's at I think the game's at a point, and I think it kind of has been. People haven't really realized that you don't need 2 guns close range that much. If you can one clip somebody with, it's who gives a shit if you have a second gun, or if you can play cover decently well, you don't need a second gun, right? I think charge rifle obviously isn't going to be good close range. Nobody's using it close range though, so I think it's B. I think it's better than I've rated it before. Yeah, just great long range, pretty good mid range, terrible short range, but you're not using it for that, right? Okay, Devo. Devo is one strange one. 1 second, everybody. Actually, nah. Yeah, Devo is a strange weapon to rate because it is, as I've said before, kind of dependent on a like a hop up on an attachment, but honestly not really. It's still super usable when it doesn't have a turbocharger. It's definitely not bad. It does go through energy ammo like a bitch, but it's not the biggest problem, I think, because you just gotta be like more like versatile with how, or like cautious about how you use it. Not versatile. I don't know why I'm saying versatile. You do have to be a little cautious about how you use it. It's not a gun you can just spray and like hope to have enough ammo. You'll spray and you'll kill 4 people, but then you'll be out of ammo for the rest of the game, right? Because you're not gonna find energy ammo. So I think it's good at what it does, but you do have to use it right. I think it's one of the harder weapons to use. So I would say C in like usability, right? It's just not as easy to use. Okay. Here, let me just. There we go. Okay. Next weapon, Eva. Ooh, Eva. This is actually one of the guns that's actually switched up probably the most recently. From season 14 to season 15. One of the only changes that they actually made in the new season. Eva is actually really good. Eva is actually pretty decent for like a shotgun that's not a PK or a Mastiff. It's pretty decent. It's super usable. I know there are people, I think like Crook and Hill, those pro players, prefer using the Eva, I'm pretty sure. And there's a lot of APEC North teams, I think, that prefer using it. I don't know if that's true. I think it is, though. And I know that like it's at a point where you can prefer it and have just as much use with it. It's a pretty decent gun for the first time in a while, and I think that's super sick. I think it's really enjoyable to see the Eva thrive but not dominate. I love that. Okay, so for reasons, if you're not sure why the Eva is any good, it got a buff to its fire rate again. So instead of just shooting literal pellets and doing nothing, it does moderately like high damage at a very fast rate now, especially if you have, yeah, it doesn't even need to be said, if you have a fucking shotgun bolt, this thing annihilates. It's just not even funny. Like, this thing, it's very good, but again, go through shotgun ammo like a bitch, but usually you'll find some more, right? This is one of the hardest seasons to find shotgun ammo in, I'll be straight up, because I think people finally realize, or not finally realize, but everybody's kind of running spray guns right now because Bang is so good. Scan meta is not exactly coming back to the forefront, but it's definitely being optimized right now with Bangalore and Digis. And having shotguns is just less efficient in smoke than having any Digi threat on a SMG. You're just not gonna be using shotguns as effectively. But yeah, it's a pretty great weapon. It's finally usable, finally fucking enjoyable to use. I don't immediately hate it. So yeah, I'm pretty excited to see as time goes on without any buffs or nerfs how it will perform. I don't know if people are gonna realize that it's like way better than we think it is or way worse. Probably not worse. Usually people like sleep on something too much. But yeah. Okay, next gun, Flatline. I don't know if I'm going A or S. Okay, I'll go A. I've been using the flatline a ton this season. I always do. It's one of my favorite weapons. I think the flatline is a great weapon. I think it's a very, very good weapon. I think other than the car, it might be the best weapon on ground right now. I don't know. I think probably. Well, okay, we'll get to that in a second. But it is so consistent with its damage output. It doesn't go through as much ammo as other ARs. And I mean, other than like the Hemlock, it's the most it conserves the most amount of ammo for any AR. It's pretty fucking good at what it does. You can have Anvil Receiver on it now, which does like 65 a headshot. Does go through ammo a little bit faster than it used to, but it's fucking good. It's really good. Put a 2x on this thing if you're running Horizon. You just need something for the fucking ults that you're going to be throwing. Put a 2 to 4 on this if you're running a little bit more range or in zone. Put a 3x on this for every other character. It's pretty great. It's a pretty fucking amazing weapon. It's not dependent on its attachments, but it's incredibly boosted by them. It's a harder weapon to learn than the R3, but only moderately, and all you have to do to get better with it is fucking use it. It is so good. It is so busted. I don't think it needs a nerf. I think it's fine where it's at, but I would also say it's the second best gun on ground loot right now. Maybe. That comes into conflict with the G7, baby. G7 might be better than the flatline. I don't know. I think it might be. There's a big argument to be made that the G7 is currently the second best gun on ground loot. It is so fucking strong. Like, okay, let's just ignore everything else, right? Let's ignore every other gun in the game. Let's ignore body armor. Let's ignore everything. If I'm just looking at you across the map and I just fucking kill you with no armor, crack you with armor, that's obviously with great helmet, but then if you're not hitting consistent headshots, it doesn't even matter. This thing puts out so much damage and shoots so fast for a fucking marksman. It's literally a wingman on crack. Back when people complained about the wingman in like season 11 and season 12 for just being abusive and how much you could spam it, this is literally that, but like 5 times worse. It is so good. It can run better sights than the wingman can or ever could. It is just incredibly nice. I think double tap doesn't do that much for it. Where's double tap? Find it real quick. I don't think double tap does that much for it. I know there are a lot of like lower level players that literally always use double tap, but they definitely made it better this season. It's usable for sure. I have a nice little clip that I got recently with double tap on the G7. It's pretty nice for getting a good amount of burst damage off, but I don't think it changes the rank of this gun at all. I think it's, even without it, it's still great. I think honestly, it's one of the only guns that with its hop up is maybe worse, I would say. I feel like the Eva is the other one that is probably worse with double tap because it completely counteracts the point of the Eva. To be a consistent like fire rate gun, it kind of like disrupts that. It turns it into more of an SMG, which, weird. But with the G7, I don't know, it kind of works nicely. Because of the recoil drop off that they just added, it does like no recoil now from a range. It's pretty nice. Like, it's not that hard to use. But again, without even the fucking pop up, it's amazing. It's a really good gun. You can spam across map with it, get like 5 KP. It's honestly decent close range just to get rid of the sight, and you can use this thing at most ranges. Double tap is probably best on the G7 close range. It's probably the best use of it. It's definitely a very fucking good weapon, and I mean, there's a reason that you see it as shitload and competitive. It's like on par with the charge rifle at what it does, right? Which is something that not many guns have had historically. The ability to compete with the charge rifle in long range. So yeah, I would say at the moment probably better than the flatline. Because it can be paired with more weapons, I think. All SMGs, very nice, with conserving so much fucking ammo. You can run this with a car and legitimately run 3 stacks of light, and I think you're fine for at least a while if you're playing aggressive, right? You have like 5 stacks, you're never running out. You can run this thing, the classic loadout of the fucking Volt and G7. Amazing loadout, really fucking good. I definitely see a lot of like usability in that. Or even with guns like the RE4 or R9 or the RE45 or Prowler. You can even run this with a shotgun, but I don't recommend it just because shotguns are not that good this season. I'm actually gonna put it even lower than the charge rifle, yeah, for sure. Just SMGs are a lot better. SMGs are a lot better this season. You know what? I'm just gonna skip all these other ones. I take it back. I think that the Volt is the second. I don't know. I'm gonna put the Volt right underneath here. Can I get rid of the? Yeah, I'm gonna put the Volt right underneath G7. I don't take it back. I'm gonna keep it like that. Volt does consistent damage output, but I don't think it shoots fast enough to be on par with the car. But there are definitely some people that use it more, and I know it's easier to use in the car. For a lot of people, I don't really know. I use the car more, so I have more success with it. But I think the Volt is a fucking amazing gun right now. Especially, again, with Bangalore meta, with fucking Horizon being in. Like, these are characters that are incredibly buffed by the fact that SMGs are in the game. Like, just like lasering somebody through smoke with a fucking digi threat or a scan and having like any SMG is amazing. And having same kind of thing but with Horizon ult, right? It's amazing. It's a really great thing. I think at the moment I think it's an A tier gun on the edge. I think these two are on the edge of S tier for sure. But yeah. Okay. Next gun, Havoc. Ooh, I love the Havoc this season. I think the Havoc's great this season. I think it's really fucking good. Havoc is really strong. Again, it has the the fastest time to kill of any gun in the game with charge rifle. I don't know if that's still the thing. I think that is still a thing. Let me check that real quick. Apex gun. I wonder if there's the fandom. Here we go. Okay, Havoc. Let's check the fuck you list of weapons. Okay, we're just gonna search it up then. Havoc rifle. Opal. Fuck you. Damage per second is 202, and then we'll go to car, which I think is the only other gun that is on par with it. Car SMG is 202. They actually have the same time to kill. So that is pretty interesting. Yeah, so actually they're both the same. Let me see if it's down here actually. It's 190 with turbo. I think it's 190 without turbo. I think it means. Yeah, so it's tied for fastest time to kill in the game with the car. Crazy. I think it's insanely usable at a lot of ranges. You can tap fire this thing with turbo, without turbo. Long range to get a little bit of peak damage, or like just kind of, what's it called? Fucking wearing them down a little bit. It's not great at that, but it's still usable for that, right? Again, the problem with it is energy ammo is not great. Volt doesn't really have that problem because it's a secondary, it's an SMG. You don't really have to be focusing on it. But yeah, I don't know. I think I want to put Devo higher. I'm gonna put Devo higher. I don't feel right putting it in C. Yeah. Yeah, I do though. No, I don't. Okay, we'll just keep it. Yeah, Havoc, really good. If you get a turbocharger, it changes the whole thing. But I think even without turbo, it's top of B. No, honestly, without turbo, I think it stays the same. With turbo, it goes right here. It's so fucking good. It is a very good weapon. I love it. I think it's really great comboed with Horizon, comboed with Valk to get that peak. Like, what's it called? yeah, I guess peak damage, whatever the fuck it's called. It's really great. Okay, next gun. Hemlock. Hemlock. What are we thinking? Anybody want to talk about this real quick? What are we thinking for the fucking Hemlock? I don't know. I don't use this gun enough to adequately get like a good answer in. I feel like from using it in like Winter Express and from what I know about it, I think it's pretty good, but I don't think it's insane. It definitely does conserve ammo better than most guns in the game, especially ARs. But this thing, I don't know. I don't really feel it that usable in close range. I know there's some people that like say that one of the best things about it is its hipfire, and I won't disagree with that. It's pretty nice, for sure, but I wouldn't say that it's like game breaking. I wouldn't say that it's, you know, meta defining or anything like that. I think it's pretty decent. It's a pretty good weapon, but it's very specialized. But I don't want that to like weight it lower than it should be. It's a pretty great weapon. But I do think it's outclassed by other ARs. I think right now every AR is better than it. And yeah, it does pump out a lot of damage, but I don't know. It's an all or nothing kind of deal. If you miss the first shot, you miss the second, third, like, it's a lot easier to miss shots on this, I feel like, and then you get discouraged and stop using it. But I don't know. I'd probably have to put it C tier. I think it's not bad, but I think it's outclassed by every other AR right now. And I think right now it's more of a marksman kind of meta. Well, marksman AR kind of meta. Marksman AR SMG, obviously. Meta, so it's good, but it's outclassed by the other ones that just put in so much more work. So I don't know. It's not great. I mean, it's okay. It's not bad. I want to be nice because I don't use this gun. I know there's people that like stand by this gun so fucking much, and I respect it. But I don't think it's great. I think it's totally middle of the pack. I think it's super usable, and if you're good with it, who gives a shit what I say? You know, if you're good with this gun, it's probably on par with Havoc, low key. Well, no, probably like top of B. But if you're bad with it, it might as well be F, right? So I'm putting it C. L-Star sucks this season. Holy shit. I want to be a supporter of the L-Star so much, guys. Like, I fucking want this gun to be decent at all. But it is just not good. This gun is just awful. The main problem is the fucking ammo. Like, every other energy weapon, the ammo conserve on this is just... or the ammo usage on this is insane. It goes through ammo so much, and I think my friend Logan pointed this out to me. If you ever drop on it, it is one of the worst weapons to drop on off landing if you're gonna fight somebody, because it comes with like 40 bullets. And here, let's just check how fast it takes 40 bullets to go through. Whoops. Let's just check. 40 bullets. How fast does this take to go through? If you miss even a few of those, get into a bad rhythm, you can't just reload the mag and just like take seconds, because it encourages you to keep shooting, which makes it so you're less likely to hit the rest of your shots. So you have to have better trigger discipline, which makes the gun harder to use. But at the same time, its recoil is so egregious. Like, it's so insane. This thing, here, let's look at this thing just recoil-wise. Like, what the fuck? It literally goes over its, like, red dot in the middle. It literally goes over it. Obviously, I'm better at recoil management than most people, so even though it doesn't look that bad, it is a lot harder to control than most other weapons. Especially when you compare it to something like the Volt SMG or the Havoc. This thing is so much harder to control and requires so much more like hands-on effort than other weapons in the game. You really have to be like focusing on hitting every shot and then still run out of ammo. It is bad off drop. It is fine in the middle of the game if you can find ammo for it. And late game, if you have ammo for it, it's fine. It's whatever. It doesn't matter. But it's not great. It's not amazing. There are better weapons. A Devo or a fucking... a Devo or a Volt or a Havoc will serve you 10 times better for energy. Right? Like, just 100 million times. So yeah, D tier I think this is the most reasonable take I think I've had. Other than like that. But I think that's the most reasonable thing that you could ever assume. I don't know if I want to put it over the alternator because the alternator is better off drop. I would rather have an alternator than an L-Star off drop. But this thing is way better middle of the game and is even usable late game if you have the ammo, like the right like resources for it. You just can't use an alternator late game. It's just outclassed. And like, sure, you could say that about the L-Star too, but at least it has a fucking gimmick to it that you can just keep shooting, which is it's a nice gimmick. It's kind of cool. It definitely makes the gun super annoying to use. I mean, to go against. I don't know if that gimmick carries it though. I will put it over the alternator because I think it's actually usable late game, unlike the alternator, which I guess you could use. But if you're in any sort of competitive mindset, you shouldn't be. You should have every opportunity to not pick it up. And if you still do, you're strange. But I love you because you rock. I don't know. You're cool. Yeah. So, yeah, I'd probably put L-Star around there. My bad. 1 second. Okay. Longbow. I'm pretty high on the longbow this season. The longbow's fine. I think the longbow's pretty decent. I'll probably put it C tier. I think it's pretty decent this season. Skull Piercer does it nice. It actually I think is super impactful on the longbow, but doesn't make it broken, right? It's a pretty good weapon. I wish I was better at using it because I fucking love this gun dearly. I'm gonna be super biased with it, or I'm gonna try not to be, but I probably still will be. I think this weapon is pretty good, but it's still outclassed by Wingman, G7, 3030, Charge Rifle. But it's definitely not a bad weapon. You could use it to like a good amount of success, right? It's definitely not a bad weapon. It's one of the guns that you could pick up, and if you get the right attachment, like Skull Piercer for it, you can run this the rest of the game and be happy with. I'm trying to run it more because I fucking love this gun. I think it's so much fun to use. But God, I just wish it was not outclassed so heavily by like the Charge Rifle. If this thing is ever like on gold loot, or like the next time this is on gold like down loot, and if Skull Piercer is still in the game, I think it could actually be a threat and be seen a good amount. Because if you find that, it's one of those guns that like maybe you don't normally pick it up, but if it's gold, you're probably gonna use it, right? It's kind of like how I feel about the R9. If I see a gold R9, I'm gonna take it, but you know, like I wouldn't normally pick up an R9 to play late game with, you know. But I think this gun is really, really good. It makes a good argument for like a long range, medium range kind of thing, kind of weapon with Skull Piercer. And I think at its peak potential, this gun is better than the 3030 and probably Charge Rifle at peak potential. If you're not missing any shot, like me, these fucking crisp shots, you're probably using it decently well. Like, you're probably getting more usage out of it, like I don't know, more, what's it called? More use out of it than you would a Charge Rifle in certain situations. I don't know, it's strange. It's because it is kind of reliant to get more damage than the Charge Rifle on getting headshots, but I don't know. I feel like it's definitely pretty good if you're good with it. And I also think that this gun is surprisingly good close range for like a marksman type, like a marksman sniper type weapon. It's surprisingly good. You can pump out like just really fucking like fast shots for a sniper, and just be doing a good amount of damage, like equivalent to like a little bit better than the wingman off drop with like skull piercer. I think it's super usable. Late game, I gotta say it's probably top of C. It's outclassed by every other marksman and sniper except for triple tech probably, but obviously sentinel. But I don't know. I don't think it's gonna see huge success if you're given the option of a charge rifle. It does conserve ammo a little bit better than the charge rifle. It's better close range than the charge rifle, but it just doesn't do what the charge rifle's best at better than it, right? So, which is a really impactful thing for the charge rifle. It's just third partying people across the map, right? That's fucking no other gun does it in the game like charge rifle. That's a gimmick that literally no other gun can beat it at. So yeah. Mastiff. I'll put Mastiff A tier. I think Mastiff's pretty good. The rework they did to it was really strange. I don't know why they did it, but I do kind of fuck with it. I don't know if I prefer it more. I think I did prefer it more before. I think I kind of rated it higher because it was better with Gibby. Now that Gibby's not as good and shotguns aren't as good, I'm actually gonna put it next to the Eva. I think it's decent. It's definitely usable for sure. It's really good with the purple bolt, but I don't know. It's just shotguns aren't that good right now. This will probably change soon, but for the entirety of season 15, shotguns have been playing like second fiddle to SMGs and ARs. It's just like, I don't know. They're not as good in smoke. They're not as good at just applying pressure to somebody who's like running at you, right? SMGs have more range, and they do more damage faster. So it's like, would you rather have a Volt and hit somebody for 130 as they run at you, or have a Mastiff and when they hit you, you hit them for like 120 with 2 pumps and then take like half your health and then kill them, right? Like, they're both good weapons, but I would much rather have a Volt. I don't know about you guys. I would much rather have a Volt if somebody's running at me. If I'm in a fight, for sure. Also, it's more forgiving. The Volt and like SMGs are more forgiving. You can miss a shot and be fine. If you miss a shot and you get like 6 11s in a row, it's fucking really annoying. But they did make it a little bit easier to hit more shots. I think it's probably better objectively than it was before supply drop, but I don't know. It's not as useful. Shotguns were pretty fucking good when Gibby was in the game. Like, you'd have to be running a Mastiff when Gibby was super good. But now that he's not, now that SMGs are better, it's like, who gives a shit, you know? It doesn't fucking matter. Okay, Mozam. Put Mozam D tier. I'll put Mozam above these two, I think. Well, no, I'll put it below L-Star. Mozam is a strange one to rank because it's good off drop sometimes. It's not the best, but it's definitely not the worst. I would rather have this than a sniper, than a marksman, right? Well, not really, but it does do some damage off drop, and even in the middle of the game, if you can aim with this thing, it actually does a surprising amount of damage. Like low key, just like look at this real quick. If you have purple bolt, right? If you have purple bolt on a Mozam, and you are shooting somebody who is running at you, this thing has surprising range. Like, you would not expect it to have such good range and fire rate. If you play this game enough to get like what's it called? To get used to it, it's a pretty decent weapon. It does go through ammo like a bitch, but that's usually not a problem because it's an early game weapon. And I think removing hammer points didn't really do that much damage to it, because hammer points is only really useful if you're running the gun late game, or if you find it early game, and then you're dropping the gun with hammer points anyways late game. So it doesn't really change anything because you weren't likely to find it. You're not going to be running a fucking Mozam into late game, even with hammer points. It does make better arguments to do so, but I don't know. It's just not necessarily as impactful as I thought it would be. Gun's actually pretty decent if you're fine with it, but it's not exactly an easy weapon to be good with. So, are we already at 40 minutes? Holy shit, boys. But yeah. So, I'd probably have to put it D tier. I think I'd rather have an alternator off drop, but it definitely is not bad. But yeah, shotguns just aren't as good right now. I'd rather have an SMG than a shotgun on that front, right? So I'll put it lower. P20 E tier. Like, this is basically just the P20 tier. I put the fucking P20 in E tier the last like 20 seasons. Not great. Not much I can say about it. Probably the worst gun off drop. I'd rather have most other guns than P20. If you're fine with it, it can do a decent amount of damage. If you are like playing pubs and you get chowed by a fucking random master who drops on you and is just P20 like whipping you, it like surprisingly does a good amount of damage, right? But there's not a single situation that you are using this gun outside of it's the only gun available, right? Without hammer points, this thing is extremely weak. I think before, when it had hammer points, unlike the Mozamp, you actually had a good argument to run it into the mid game and possibly late game, just because it did so much damage. Like instead of doing, how much damage did it do with the body? Like 18, it did like 25 or something like that, which is pretty good. I was an advocate for this gun last season, for sure. I remember getting a win on Bangalore with a P20. It's a weird combo of like pistol, where it's a weird gun where it's like it shoots pretty fast for a pistol, so with baby threat and smoke and hammer points, it's actually not bad. Especially if the other person doesn't have a digi threat or any type of scan. But every other gun in the game outclasses this. Just 100 billion%. But if you're fine with it, you can kill a couple people, right? If you need to, and they're, you know, not expecting somebody to come on them, like just jump on them. It's not like awful. It's usable for sure. Off drop. It's not like you instantly lose if you drop on this next to somebody who dropped on a fucking Mozamp, but not good still. Not good. E tier, I think it sums it up best. It's the worst gun in the game. Every other gun in the game outclasses it by a fucking large margin. It's unrunnable after you find any other weapon. It's just not good. But again, if you're really good at the game, you can still probably kill 2 people if they're not looking at you, right? Like, it's whatever. It's whatever. You really have to be bad to die to a P20. But sometimes they're just better than you, and that's fine. Okay, PK. I'll put the PK above these two. I don't really think there's much to be said here, other than, like I've already said for the shotguns. Shotguns aren't as good this season. PK, I think, is a little bit better than Mastiff, because what Mastiff had before on the PK was that it was better on Gibby, and Gibby was one of the best characters in the game. So therefore Mastiff was more used and just better, and you could find ammo for it, right? Mastiff was just a little bit better, and that had a better, like a bigger spread, which is pretty nice for shooting through like smokes and shit. But now that stuff doesn't really apply. Smaller like choke on it, and Gibby isn't run as much, so PK is, I think, taking the cake for me for being better, which is something I resisted for seasons. But I think it's at that point where it's like, yeah, this is definitely better. But again, it's like, it doesn't matter, right? It's in Replicator right now. It's a pretty decent craft if you have a gun. But I think it's a fucking like coin flip on Mastiff or PK. But I would say PK is a little bit better. But yeah, I don't think this gun is winning any wars of attrition against any SMGs, right? Like, I don't think it's doing that much. Okay, here comes for my classic controversial shout right here. You guys ready? I think the Prowler is and has been better than the Volt since season 12, since it was out of the care pack. I think the Prowler is so fucking slept on. And I think it's finally started to be, you know, kind of seen in the pros. Or okay, it's been seen in the pro scene for a while. But I think people are starting to finally explain, like, talk about that it's actually good. Because I think it was a pretty well-known fact to, like, avid players of the game that the Prowler was definitely not a gun to be slept on. It's really good, but just nobody talked about it, right? So I think it left a lot of lower level players thinking that this gun sucks when it really does not. This thing pumps out so much burst damage so fast. If you get a nice burst on somebody, it is so nice. It has the same thing as the Hemlock, where it's like it's hard to recover from, but that's honestly fine because it has so much ammo in a purple mag, so much ammo in a blue mag even. This gun pumps out so much damage. It is fucking amazing in smoke. Let me just show you. This gun is crazy in smoke. I think it's better than the Volt. I think it's better than the R9. This gun, it just capitalizes on people not seeing, or like capitalizes on doing a ton of damage really fast, and that is so much better if people can't see you or are thrown off by the smoke because they have digi threats. They don't expect it, right? It is so good at just putting down huge amounts of burst damage. And I think once you get to a reasonable skill level with this gun, you'll understand that it's fucking nasty. Like, it's really good. I think it being in Winter Express is a good like way for people to test it out. It's insane. It's a gun that I think I would run the car over every single day of the week, but I'm still wanting to keep it, right? It's still good. I think it's better than the Volt. The thing about it is that I think it's less usable with other guns. Okay, this completely changes if you're on controller. If you're on controller, it's fucking S tier easily. But at the same time, it's like I think it's less usable in combination with other guns. Like I think the Volt is better in combination with like the charge rifle than the Prowler is. But again, that's only because I don't use that combo of guns, right? I don't really use the Volt that much. And I don't use the Prowler a ton in actual games. I'm usually a one-trick car, like a one-trick car player, for sure. So, like, I don't know, right? Like, I think it's fucking amazing. I think it's so good, especially in a fucking SMG meta, in a Digi meta. This gun was so good when it was in care package with Digi, and now that I finally think that, now that it's like Bangalore is actually finally good, I think it's just so good in smoke. Again, like, I think it's so good in smoke because it does so much burst damage, and if somebody's not expecting it, or if somebody's randomly shooting you through a smoke, and you get a nice burst from somebody, that changes the tide of a fight. It does it better than any other gun in the game. Even the car. Just like putting a huge amount of damage on the ground at one single time, right? Like on a single player, just destroying. Coming around a corner and like whipping somebody with this shit is insane. Also, not to mention, like, this thing with a laser sight is like weird. Like, it's like this needs to be nerfed. But also, I don't think enough players hit fire shots with a Prowler enough for it to be, you know, actually realized. Well, I mean, people realize it, but to actually be broken. If this is like car, it would be insane, right? Like, a car would be the best gun in the game, even more than it is. But it is so fucking good. Look, that's with no laser sight, dude. This thing is insane. You really don't even have to be aiming in, which makes it a good weapon on both controller and M&K. I do think it still completely becomes an S-tier weapon on controller, just because if you can stick this and just do a shitload of damage at once, it is so good. It is so good, and it doesn't go through an abusive amount of ammo, even though it has a big mag, which is one of the only guns you can say that for. That despite having a big mag doesn't really abuse ammo, because you don't really have to abuse ammo with it. How much damage does this thing do per mag? It's insane. What, 70 per 5, and then it has 7 of those, so it does 490 damage per mag. broken, and that's without any headshots. Like, here, let's get it, like, for reference, like, what does the car do? Without any headshots, what does the car do per mag? I think my game lagged or something. 327. So, like, way less than that. Right, like 200 less than that. I think that's insane. That is absolutely crazy. So yeah, Prowler, controversial take. A tier weapon, better than the Volt. Has been for a while. R301. I'll put the R301 above the Havoc. I think this is a pretty mediocre take. Some people are gonna disagree because they live on a hill that only has a fucking R301 and that's it. But you know, surprising enough for new players of the game, or like, you know, players that aren't as good. This gun is not an end-all be-all of guns. It may be good, but it's not a fucking one. Like, it's not like you only use an R301 and you can just win every game, right? It's not a car. It's very good, but it goes through ammo so fast, and it's been a problem with me. I mean, it's a problem for me for a while with this gun. I think it's a very clean-looking gun. Especially with like Amethyst Apathy. Like, look at this fucking skin. It is so nice. Holy shit. But yeah, I don't know. I think the gun, obviously not to be slept on. It's amazing. It's obviously run so much. It's the favorite gun of like the most amount of people in the world. I mean, the most amount of people who play Apex, probably the world. It is just so fucking strong. But I still think Flatline is better than it because ammo conservation, but also just the Flatline has more range, and I think, I don't know, it's a big thing with ammo for me because those guns are pretty dead even, like they're pretty close, but I don't know, it's just the ammo problem for me is something I can't really get over, and when they're already set to even and there's one big problem with one of them and then not a problem with the other one, it's like that one's probably gonna be worse, right? So yeah, like it's pretty good. It's pretty great. Its hipfire is like pretty decent. It's not amazing, but you can definitely do some things with it. It's fine. Right, okay, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. It has a decent mag size. It shoots relatively fast for an AR, so yeah, it's unique in that sense. But also that kind of does pull it back a little bit because again, ammo. I keep harping on ammo because I really think it is a problem with R301. I really think it is an issue with a lot of guns going through ammo fast because it forces you to learn a whole nother skill, which obviously you should be learning already. And it's just like conserving your ammo. But even like the best players in the world, like Cal is infamous for this. Just fucking having like 18 bullets left and being like, I have no ammo, and then shooting a whole fucking mag at a what's it fucking called? Newcastle wall. And he did that like the other day. So, you know, like it's a skill that if you don't have to learn, it makes the gun better, like the flatline. Alright, just kind of like learning that once you start missing, stop shooting, and then, you know, focus back up, start shooting again. Right? Pretty good gun though. Pretty good gun overall. The only problem with it, only thing holding it back from being like top of A, better than the flatline, I think is ammo conservation. Especially when there's so many good heavy guns right now, and there's only a few good light guns. R9 is definitely better this season. It got buffed a little bit. I will put. Oh, that's really fucking controversial. Yeah, no. I think the R9 is a very strange weapon right now because it did get buffed. And I think it's totally decent. But I don't really think it's broken. I don't really think it's crazy good. I think it's pretty decent, but it's being outmatched by the car and the Bolt, and the Prowler. But it still pumps out a shitload of bullets. And if you can't aim that well, it's like pretty decent for at least hitting a couple of them, right? It is one of the hardest SMGs in my opinion to one clip with because it's a very fast shooting gun and it does less damage per mag than other SMGs. But again, it's not impossible, right? way. I'm just not as good with it because I don't use it as much. Also, there's a fucking R9 doesn't do as much damage. But yeah, SMG meta definitely buffs it up a little bit. I think the buffs to it are pretty decent. They were pretty substantial. Making it so it has 30 bullets in a full mag is actually pretty insane. Or 28? I thought it had 30. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty decent. Putting it on par with like the car, but in terms of like ammo capacity, and even for shooting so fast, it doesn't really go through ammo that fast because it's a secondary. You know, you're not using this constantly. You can run this with the G7, 30-30, pretty decent. But yeah, insane, not bad. I think probably still keep it C though. I'd probably keep it right there. I feel like these guns are just better than it, but it's definitely not bad. I'm gonna actually bring the longbow down a little bit, put the R9 over it. I'll put the Hemlock lower than the R9. I think I think just because SMGs are better right now, I'll put it up. Okay, Sentinel. D tier. Sentinel's interesting. I'll put it C tier. I'll put it very bottom of C tier. Sentinel's a super weird gun right now. Because you actually there is some competitive like usability with it. You have definitely seen it in a couple pro players' hands in competitive matches. Usually if people can't get a charge rifle, they'll pick it up early game if they have the attachment, right? And they'll if they're usually running charge rifle, they'll pick up a Sentinel with 4 attachments, right? And if they can't find a charge rifle, they'll just rock with it. And you actually do see some really good players use the Sentinel to some pretty reasonable success. It's a pretty fucking interesting weapon. It's not bad at all. But it's definitely also at the same time just not that great. It's not game changing. It doesn't put as much pressure out as you would think it does for doing 70 damage a bullet. It doesn't have Skull Piercer, which is thank God it doesn't. But yeah, if this thing did have Skull Piercer and did 160 per bullet headshot, it would be a mini Kraber. This thing I think would actually start to be used maybe a little bit. I think it would only really be that impactful early game. At that point, it's just super RNG based and really annoying to come across, so I don't think you can ever do it. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's decent. It's whatever. Not bad at all, but not good. It's definitely worse than most marksmen or most snipers. I think it is probably the worst in the category at the moment. I think I'll probably keep it there because it's still usable. You can still grab a little bit of KP with it, maybe charge a little bit of shields with it, but just really not as much as you'd like to be doing. Right? You can do it better with any other marksman, any others. Well, maybe not any other marksman, any other sniper for sure. Okay, I know it's called the Spitfire, but bro, I barely remember this weapon. This gun is so forgettable right now because who the fuck crafts a Spitfire? I don't know if I've seen a single Spitfire in ranked. And I don't play that much pubs this season. I don't know if I've seen a single Spitfire. Maybe 1 or 2 or heard one. But I think it's the best decision they've ever made in Replicator to put this thing in Replicator other than the Rampage. Because this gun is mildly annoying to play against. Getting it off drop is pretty annoying because its iron sight is terrible for trying to hit people who are even a little bit further away than this. Right? It's pretty decent. It's pretty good. I'll straight up admit it's worth crafting. I don't think you should though. I don't think it's worth. I don't think you should. I think it is worth it. But at that point, grab an R3, right? It doesn't really go through ammo that fast. It's still a pretty good gun. It's a Spitfire. What do I say that you haven't heard before? It's decent. It's whatever. Which is what I've said with half the guns on this list already. But yeah, I don't know. It's not awful. It's pretty good. It's usable for sure. But I have not seen it used once. So It's not a very popular weapon, which is totally fair because it's very annoying to go against. I'd probably rate this like a solid B. It's fine. It's okay, it's not just fine. I should be more fair. It's good. It's a good weapon. But you shouldn't really be using it over almost any other AR, in my opinion. Just because, why would you? There's nothing to benefit from it other than shooting for longer, which isn't that useful if it's not better close range, right? If you have a close range weapon that's good at shooting forever, like a fucking L-Star, it's pretty decent. Or like a car shoots for fucking ever. Volt shoots for fucking ever. Havoc shoots for fucking ever, right? And they do the job just better than the fucking Spitfire. You don't need the Spitfire. Yeah, okay. So next gun, triple take. I'm kind of heated, like warmed up to the triple take this season. I think it's fine. It's fine. Not amazing, not great, but it's kind of usable. They did buff it over the seasons. Or the start of the season, they did buff it so its charge time is faster and its fire rate is slower, which is a good thing. Promotes people using it the way it's supposed to be used. I am worried though that if this thing is not used that much, they'll buff it again. It'll be a repeat of like season 9 or season like 11 when it was just really good, right? But I think it's slept on a little bit for sure, but I don't think it's better than like a G7. I think at the moment the biggest thing holding it back is just that the G7, 3030, Wingman, and like so many other long-range weapons are currently as good as they are, because there's not much you can do to persuade a player to use the triple take over any of those. It's just not as good at the at anything than the other ones. I will say, for a marksman weapon, it is maybe the best close range weapon for any marksman. It is fairly good. It is fairly fucking decent. But I don't know. I don't think it's like insane. I think it's decent, better than the Sentinel for sure, but not great, right? It's okay. It's okay. Wingman, I'll probably put next to the, I'll put it above, I'll put it below 3030. I think that's the lowest I've placed it in the last like 5 or 6 seasons, maybe ever, honestly. It being switched to sniper ammo I think was a great change for it. Really made it so you can't spam it as much, but it still makes it useful. It having Skull Piercer is great, but it doesn't affect the game as much as you can, because you can still, even with Skull Piercer, hit a fucking Gibby for 50, right? If they just have purple helmet, because helmets got buffed. So it's good, not great. I think it's pretty good, actually. Straight up, it is usable, better than a lot of other marksman weapons, and like LMGs, but it's not necessarily insane, right? It's pretty. I think it's pretty balanced right now. I think it's fine. Okay. Care package weapons. We will start with the bow. Okay. So these are harder to rank because they completely depend on your ability to get them, how long you can use them, how much practice you have with them, right? Like, if you haven't used the RE45 ever and you pick it up from a care package, you're probably not going to be amazing with it. That doesn't mean it's bad, right? It's still a very good weapon, but just because you don't have any practice with it doesn't make it bad, right? So they're very hard to rank. I have to do this as objective as I can because fuck me, right? Okay. So keep in mind that these are completely separated from this other table. I'm going to put them with them, but they're not like indicative of what I actually think, because my personal opinions are very different than what I'm rating right now, and what I'm good at is also very different. Like, I'm definitely not better with a G7 than I am the R301, right? Like, this is very different than what I'm good at. So these are the hardest things to rank. Keep them apart from the other ones. Ignore this entire list. Just think about where I put them, and I'm only gonna put them in places to mark how good they will be. How, like, what's a good way to, like, emphasize that. Not saying that, like, if I put it right here, it's better than a hemlock. I'm just saying that, you know, in a world where a hemlock is a certain value of, like, goodness, it's slightly more than that. Doesn't mean it's better, but on an objective scale, it is. Right? That's all I'm trying to say. And also, one more thing, these change so much. Metas and the way people use guns change so fucking much. The more people use a gun, realize that it's really good, completely changes, you know, what people think about it. So keep all that in mind. We'll start with a bow check. Bow check is okay. I'm actually gonna give myself a slight pause because I have a sore throat. So one sec, boys. I've been talking like nonstop for the last hour? Kind of insane. Yeah, hour 7 minutes. This is literally what I do when I'm just trying to discover, like, think about what's good and what's bad. Anybody who jumped in midstream, thank you for showing up. Thank you for coming. I appreciate you. I haven't streamed in a while. I think I'm gonna try to start doing a little bit more. I always say that. I don't really go through with it, but I'll try. I have a lot of ideas for YouTube as well. I'm kind of focused more on school right now because college apps are a little annoying, but yeah, I'm trying to be a little bit more active on my socials. So thank you everybody who showed up. I'm Sam. I'm blitzing right now. It does not mean registered nurse. I've had a lot of people ask me that. The RN means right now. I don't know why I did that. I just liked it when I came up with the name originally in like 8th grade. So don't judge me. But yeah, okay, let's start this. Bocheck. Bocheck's kind of good. Bocheck's pretty good actually. There are some players that are really good with it. Like Mandy is insane with the Bocheck. He's the best Bocheck player in the world for sure. It pumps out a good amount of damage, has a decent amount of ammo. 60 shots is pretty fucking good. What does like 70 per hit? I think it's as good as it was when it first came out, which is actually insane to think about. This is just ground loot season 9, which is crazy, but with like infinite ammo. Like it's weird. It's weird. But yeah, I think this gun is very good right now. I think with marksman being good, I'd probably put it like right there. I think that's fair. It's pretty great. I would probably take it over most of these guns, but again, I'm not ranking it among those guns. I'm ranking it as like a base skill level or like goodness rating or whatever. I think it's pretty great, right? It can change the tide of a fight. Honestly, maybe I'll put it next to the G7 because I think it's comparable to the G7. It's just such different guns to like rank, right? It's really hard to differentiate these. I guess I'll just put it. I'll put it right there. I think that's fair. I think G7 is still better than it, even though that's a care package weapon. Pretty good weapon. I do like it. I think it's really fun to use. 60 bullets is surprisingly like definitely enough for it. It's a really good number. I don't know how they came up with that, but that's a perfect number for it. Not too much, not too few. You can definitely get a lot of use out of it before you run out. And it's also super common. I think it's the most common one other than the Rampage. So maybe the RE is actually more common now, but it's actually super common. You can find it first ring, not even that difficult. You actually, I think of all the care package weapons right now, it's probably the one used the most because actually that's definitely not true. These two probably beat it, but it's been in the care package longer than both those two, so you know, maybe. Actually, has it? I don't fucking know. My brain doesn't work. Okay, yeah, I think that's fair. Rampage time. Woo! Rampage lovers, unite. This gun sucks ass. I hate it. But in care package, I think it's perfect. I think it's a perfect care package weapon. I think it's a great care package weapon. It doesn't change the gun meta too much, but on ground loot, it definitely upsets the game a lot. It makes the game a lot less fun to play on ground loot. And it starting revved up is pretty decent. I've come across a few, or like one time that I picked the gun up and it, like, from the care package, it wasn't revved up. So I think it is a bug right now. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm just dumb and I picked it off a body and I didn't realize. But it's pretty good. I think it's a perfect care package weapon. It should never be taken out of the care package if, you know, I ever had an opinion of it. It coming revved up and its time not running out. You can just have the charge forever as long as you don't shoot. Pretty great. I think it's a pretty good change. I think it's a perfect adaptation from ground loot to care package for a gun that was already decent but had a gimmick that was broken. You do see it a little bit in like competitive play, like Pro League. You do see it a little bit. You usually want somebody carrying it just because of its ability to break doors, and it does beam. It does fucking beam. Charged up. Like this thing does kind of beam though. I think it's the fact that it has like no no recoil. Like literally look at this. Like this is me not pulling back on anything. That's nothing, dude. That's so easy to counteract, it's insane. Like that's so easy to do. So pretty decent gun. I like it. In the care pack. I think it's a really good care package weapon. Usually you do want somebody carrying it. I'll probably put it right there. Just because it's pretty decent. It has a good amount of ammo. Perfect amount of ammo gun. I think they did really good with the amount of like ammo they put in the guns. So next gun. Sorry, 1 second. Sorry, my cat was choking on water. Okay. RE45. RE45 time. This gun is surprisingly really good. I'm gonna use it real quick and then we'll test it. I mean, then we'll rank it. But low key, I don't think there's a single person on Earth that's saying that this gun is bad. It's pretty good. The trucker rounds is a very nice luxury to have on a gun that's not a fucking alternator and makes it overpowered. Goes through ammo pretty fast. Even on like health though, it does a good amount of damage. Like even on like health, it does a lot of damage. It still does have a little bit of recoil, but it's not that hard to counteract. Like it's pretty nice. It's a pretty good gun. You can run it with most other guns. It's a great weapon to find in care pack early because it just allows you to just get whatever loot you want because you can just take a fight and crack somebody with it. Very great weapon. Definitely not slept on. I think people understand how good it is, especially like, you know, the loud minority definitely know how good this shit is. It's insane. I think I'll probably put it S tier. S tier? I'll probably put it S tier. I think it's good enough to where like you could always run it. But it definitely comes up to personal preference. It does have not a ton of ammo, and you shouldn't be using it as an AR. You should be using it as a secondary, which like low key, I think it's objectively better than a car, but it has less ammo than a car that you can have. So I don't know. I feel like you should be dropping a car for this in like an objective world, but again, maybe not. It depends what your secondary gun is, right? If you're running like a R301 with a car, yeah, drop the car. If you're running like a G7, maybe just keep the car, right? If you're running like a Spitfire car, fucking maybe just keep the car, have somebody else grab it. With a controller player running this, I think it's insane. My cat is climbing my wall. My bad. It's really good on a controller player. I think it's really great. Again, in an objective world, it is better than a car, but just because of the ammo, and it depends on what you're using alongside it. So yeah, I think it's S tier. Pretty convincingly. I think it's pretty great. I think it's pretty great. Kraber time. Okay. That's that. Kraber's great. Kraber's amazing. If you're good with Kraber, you just can climb ranks if you can get it. If you can get your hands on a Kraber and you can adequately use a Kraber, it's fucking insane. This thing is broken. I don't give a shit what anybody says about the damage the nerf with the headshot. Who gives a fuck, right? This thing is still insane. It's, what, 210 on somebody with red? Just switch to a car and fucking beam them. Like, I don't give a shit how far they are. You should be able to do that. Like, you just need to hit like one more shot, literally, on like any other gun. I think even a P20 does like 14 damage, right? So, this thing is insane. Getting a shot on a Kraber, with a Kraber off in the middle of a fight, literally wins you a fight. Or at least turns the tides of a fight. Being bad with it, though, there are definitely some situations where it's like, okay, just don't pick it up. But it's like one of the only snipers in the game that you can literally have end circle and it still is great. Right? Like final ring closing in, it's amazing. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's definitely pretty good. It's pretty fucking amazing. You have to be kind of silly to not think that this thing's insane. Yeah. I think that's the list, boys. So let's just title it season 15 Apex guns. We'll just call it weapons because guns is TOS, I think. I don't know. Maybe not. We'll look at it. I think this is pretty good. I'm pretty happy with this. I think this is better than our previous one for sure. Shotguns are so weird to rank in this category. Shotguns are so strange to rank. I want to put that out there. Shotguns are super weird to rank. So are the care package weapons. But I do think overall SMGs are amazing right now. Like, just look how many like good SMGs there are right here. Like, those three are just insane. And then there's a whole 3 ARs in the fucking A rank, which there usually is, but yeah, I might have slept on the 30-30 a little bit, but I don't know. I'm definitely more positive about a lot of these guns because I think that they have potential. Maybe not all of them have been realized though. Right. Like, I think in a perfect world, you should be picking up every single care package weapon over a gun you already have, but you're not going to be doing that all the time. Therefore, they're not as good in like the world that we live in, right? Because you have more use. If you're an R301 with a car and you find a Bocek, in my opinion, you should be taking the Bocek. But if you're better with an R301 than you are with a Bocek, or you're already like warmed up with the R301, or you've adequate ammo, just keep the R301. There's no reason to force yourself to use a different weapon, right? So it completely changes on a computer-based algorithm. Pick up the care package weapon, pick up a shotgun, but that, you know, you're not always going to be hitting 100 pumps, not always going to be hitting those nice Kraber shots. So it depends on what you're good at. This is completely opinionated in the most objective way I can talk about. Not all of these guns are truly what they're ranked as. I think I totally might have slept on like the Devo a little bit too much, Longbow maybe a little bit too much. Like even R9 I think could see some potential, Pro League and shit like that. But as well as I might have rated Havoc a little bit too high. But I think in general this is pretty adequate in terms of how impactful they are to just have in the game, right? Like these are the guns that can actually carry you if you're good with them, right? If you have to one-trick gun, what are you going to be best with? So keep that in mind. These aren't objective in any way. It definitely depends on what you're used to, what you're good with, and you're only going to get better with guns if you use them more. So for me, the guns I use the most are like the Car, Flatline, Mastiff, R301, and you can definitely tell that those are more towards the top of the list. So it's still opinionated in my own way. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. I might post a little bit edited version of this VOD on YouTube. But yeah, I hope if there's any input you guys have, just, you know, message me about it, come to my next stream, talk to me about it. Totally down to have discussions. I love having those like conversations about what people think is good. I'm still trying to figure out why people don't like Broken Moon. I have no fucking clue. I love the map a lot, just to be straight up. Trying to figure that shit out. So I'm super down to have conversations about Apex. I'd like to consider myself pretty knowledgeable in this space. I play the game a fuckload right now, and it just like all the time. So yeah, if anybody has any notes, let me know. I'm always down to listen. My DMs are always open on Twitter, on stuff like that. Um, as well as I think my Discord's linked, but I'm not sure. So yeah, thank you guys for watching so much. I really appreciate anybody who did tune in, even if it was for a little bit. You guys are the best people in the world. So yeah, thank you so much. Hope everybody has an amazing night. I'll probably post this on what's it called? I'll probably post this on YouTube. But yeah, appreciate you guys so much. Really happy to be back and streaming again. I hope it's gonna be a thing that kind of keeps going. I'm really excited to finally be able to be away from finals and stuff like that and focus more on the things that I want to do, like this. Like, I love talking about Apex. I love talking about the things that I enjoy, like this, and I can't always do that when I have other things to do. So really appreciate this. Really appreciate everybody for tuning in, even if it did for a second. If you're gone right now, I don't really give a shit. Thank you so much for watching, but you're totally like valid in your excuse to leave. I don't want anybody to be here because they feel like they're forced to, or they're pity because they see somebody has one viewer. I'm happy just doing this for fun, man. I love the ability to just stream and have a decent stream, and people just watch it sometimes. That is so cool to me. So yeah, like, I don't really give a shit if you follow me or if you do anything. I will obviously love if you do, and it would be amazing, but I'm totally happy if you don't. And I feel like it's so cool to be able to have this opportunity to just talk to you guys and talk about what I love and be able to um, just kind of like enjoy what I'm doing, right? And be able to put that out there into the streaming world. So I probably rambled on for long enough. If you guys want to go check out my what's it called, YouTube, it's right there on the screen. But Blitzen, I hope you guys have an amazing night. I hope you guys have I hope you enjoyed the stream. I hope you agree with my opinions. Again, if you don't, fucking tell me. I would love to have a conversation about it. But yeah, hope everybody has a good night. Love you all. Mwah, mwah, mwah. See you guys next time. Peace.